Well, hi everybody and welcome to the Mental Toughness and Body Show. My name's Rob Evans and I'm your weight loss coach, health strategist and internationally published author, helping take your mindset from where you are to becoming unstoppable. And today's episode, I'm going to reflect on something very personal to me, and that is the impact of COVID that's having on me as of today. So, there's this saying that if COVID doesn't get you, the economic fallout will. And I want to focus on that today because what we're experiencing in Melbourne, Victoria, here right now, every day there seems to be a further announcement as to what is going to happen in terms of restricting our behaviour, our movements around our local area, around the state, around our country, and it's becoming more and more locked down. So I mentioned a couple of days ago that we've entered into stage 4 of lockdown. We now have to wear masks everywhere. It's compulsory or there are fines. We are now not allowed to travel more than 5 kilometres from our home. We're allowed to go out once a day to the shops, only once. We're allowed to go out for up to an hour of exercise. And that's pretty much it. And there are some areas of work that can continue unchanged. And there are some that have to stop completely, and there are some that can operate on modified circumstances. Now today, after seeking further and further feedback from the relevant, or Fitness Australia it's called, and the Department of Health and Human Services, I finally got confirmation that I am not allowed to work with clients at the moment and out in the park. So it's looked like this. So by the end of this, or who knows when it's going to end, but as of right now, we've been locked down for, I think it's about, it was 12 weeks. We've now been locked down for a further 5 weeks, I think. So we're up to about 17 weeks that we've been locked down. And so it started out by me not being able to have people in the studio. So then it was a case of I could work with people out in the park, and I've been able to do that for quite some time. And as of today, I'm now no longer able to do that either. And Fitness Australia are waiting to get confirmation as to whether people can even stream from their studios or their gyms. Now, that won't be an issue for me because it's attached to my house, so it's part of my premises. What they're trying to avoid is people driving to their studio or their gyms and then filming sessions, streaming sessions in there. But it's like, how much more can you try and shut someone down? Now, I coach people, I stream people, and I've got other sources of income, but the significant part of what I do comes from working with people, and that either requires some hands-on or streaming service. And today it's just taken a significant hit. Now, what's ironic about these restrictions is that I'm not allowed to work out in let's just say the park at the end of my street. I'm not allowed to get a client to come there and we do a session together. However, what I am allowed to do is get a mate to come to the park and we go for a walk together or something like that, or we do some exercise together. We are allowed to do that. So how stupid is that? The only difference is that there's money changing hands if you're doing it as a business. So it's very frustrating. There are the supermarket chains, the food chains and everything are largely unaffected, although they are cutting down the supply of meat and poultry and fish because they've had some major outbreaks in those settings So they are cutting down the number of people in there to try and have an impact there. So we're going to have some impact on our meat supplies, and I've already started to ration my food because we're going to be hitting a shortage very, very quickly. And so you have a think about the other areas that they're shutting down. They're leaving some parts of construction open. They're shutting parts of manufacturing. There are other parts that are staying open as well. The irony in all this is the biggest areas of causes of the outbreaks of these areas, they're leaving open. Apart from, even like your abattoirs and things like that, they are staying open, but they're cutting down the staff. The detrimental impact on businesses is massive. Like, there's the mental health aspect of it, but the actual financial impact, the burden on people when, you've gone from being able to run a business freely to then stage 1 lockdown, stage 2, stage 3, stage 2, did we get to stage 3? Then they opened us up again, they rolled it back, and then they've locked us down again after 16 days of being open. And they said that would be for 6 weeks. It's 4 weeks today, and they've said like a week ago we're going to go to stage 4, and that's going to be for 6 weeks. They always work in 6 weeks, so now it's going to be at least 10 weeks. And so people are feeling broken. People are completely worn down by it. They're frustrated. And there are many businesses that will just not survive. They can't survive another hit like this. And the government is providing some funding, but it's nowhere near enough funding for most people. I don't know whether I'm entitled to any funding. I've put applications in for parts of funding, but there is also an element of, will we give it, will we won't give it kind of thing. Whether they feel that I've been deeply enough impacted. And it's like you're ripping the guts out of the health and fitness industry. You're making it very, very difficult for people, and it's almost enough for people to want to shut up shop, leave the state, and go and open up business in another part of the country, because we are the only state that is locked down like this. We're the only state where COVID has seemed to have gotten out of control because of, poor decision making at some point, and breaches happening. But it's not happening in other parts of the state. It could other parts of the country. Now, it could quite easily happen anywhere, and they're performing an inquiry to see why things happened and why things haven't happened. But we are where we are right now, and it just seems to be getting worse and worse. So we've had the mask wearing for, I think it's over a week now. Maybe it's a week, over a week. Maybe it's a week. And you would expect, because they've said that the mask wearing will definitely have an impact in reducing numbers, etc., etc. So today, we had the biggest number that we've had through the whole pandemic. 735 or 725 or something like that. So, are the masks working at all? I mean, who knows? And these lockdowns, well, maybe we need to wait for a week to 2 weeks before we start to see the numbers. But I tell you this, if the numbers don't come down within a week, people are going to start to go nuts. I mean, if they don't start to drop down to the hundreds or whatever, I mean, you look at the footage they show of the roads at night time. We have a curfew. We have to be inside by 8 p.m. Between 8 p.m. and 5 a.m. you're not allowed out at all. People will go nuts. They really will. It's such an imposition. We have $5,000 fines for certain events, $200 if you don't have a fine, $1,600 if you're I can't remember what that one's for, and then there's a $5,000 penalty if you are supposed to be at home because you're either waiting for a test result or you actually have COVID and you're not at home when they come and do a door knock. They're door knocking multiple times a day at random times to make sure that you're home. It's an immediate $5,000 fine, and if there's multiple breaches, I think you can be up to $20,000 and 5 years imprisonment. Now, I have no intention of breaching anything, and they're putting these harsh penalties in to really drive the behaviour change. But even last night, they had people that were doing the wrong thing, and all it takes is one person. So it's a very, very, very difficult position that we're living in. And so how do I feel about it all? Well, I'm certainly not happy about it. And I would say the last probably 48 hours, maybe even 72 hours, have been really, really tough, because I've been communicating with the different parties to try and find out, what's possible here. It changes every day. Each day you get up, there's something different. Can I run a business like I normally do, or do I have to, pivot again and do it some different way? And so, each time there's a decision, I have to contact all my clients, and we have to have the discussion about whether they want to, if you like, pivot with me and go to a new level of service delivery. And some do, which I'm very grateful for, but others don't. I mean, when the studio shut, I lost a bunch of people because they weren't prepared. They didn't want to do a stream service or come to the park or anything like that. I was like, if they can't be in the studio, they don't want to do anything at all. And I get that, because obviously it's great in here. But obviously that makes it, just tricky for me. So I've had to do that again. So much communication, so much uncertainty. And today, I found out this afternoon that that's the decision that they've made. And, we just have to run with it. So I've got some clients who are going to continue now a stream service, because they recognise the importance of keeping on going. But others have their own employment in question because of the industry they work in, and it's going to be shut down. Others are okay. They're school teachers, or they're running different types of businesses where it's unaffected by this. So it's just a really, really tough time. And look, I'm just talking about here. I mean, I'm well, all my clients are well, nobody's dying that I know that has, that lives here. And I know that it's a lot worse in other parts of the world. But I guess the point of this is to just talk about the impact that it's having on me and how I'm responding to that. Because when you get confronted with these tough things, like I was talking about in yesterday's podcast about adaptability, it's like, okay, so how do we respond to this now to make sure that we can change? I mean, it seems to be changing daily, and tomorrow it could change again. And we've got to be in a position where we can be stronger than this. And I just put a post up today on my Facebook page saying a message to COVID: we're stronger than you, and we're not going to let it beat us. And I'm certainly not going to do that. And what it comes back to is making sure that we're focusing on the right things, making sure that we do have a plan and that we continue to keep on pivoting and coming up with different business ideas so that we can keep moving forward, and knowing that, well, is it going to be a couple of years before we get through this? Is it going to be 4 years? Is it going to be 5 years? It's certainly going to be longer than 6 weeks that we're going to have to, they're saying that we have to be shut down here. My personal belief is that we'll be still shut down at Christmas. Whether it's to the same extent, I don't know. Whether they'll go to an extra level, I think they will, because they won't be getting the outcomes that they want. So it's going to go on for a long time. So we need to keep making sure that we can keep moving forward. We can keep pivoting on what it is that we do, and keep adding value, keep following our passion, keep driving ourselves forward, because if you stop, that's when you can be sucked into this funnel of despair where everybody is headed right now. It's kind of like everybody's in the funnel and it's spinning down. It's like, well, are you holding on to the top and you're about to climb out, or are you being sucked down right down into the vortex and there's no possibility of you getting out? You can't let this thing overrun you. And I know that it's different in other parts of the world. It's different in each part of the world, what the requirements are, what you are allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do. They're certainly trying to stamp it out here, and you look at some parts in the US where they're trying to keep the economy open, but people are dying everywhere. The health systems are being overrun. It's hard to know what the right answer is. And when the World Health Organization come out, I think it was yesterday, we got the news here, that they believe that there just may not be a vaccine available, and to stop, I guess, holding on to the fact that this is going to be the silver bullet that solves everything, because it may not come. And I guess that's the harsh reality of this. So what's the alternative? Do you just let the thing run and let everybody get it, and then whoever dies, dies, and everybody else gets it and then gets over it, so then it's not an issue anymore, and you've just got this massive number of dead people, you've then able to open up the economy again. It's like, do you save lives or do you salvage livelihoods? And certainly our government here has chosen to save lives at the expense of livelihoods. And we are having the harshest restrictions in our country right now, well, just in my state. I mean, you can travel north 3,000 kilometres and they're fine. They can go to the gyms, they can go out dining and stuff, and they've got their borders closed to other visitors so that they don't have the same issue. But certainly in our state, we have the harshest restrictions that we've had since World War II. And I mean, that's saying something. I mean, we're going to have the worst economic numbers since World War II as well. The economy is being destroyed by these decisions. And they're just, I'm sure, hoping like hell, the government, that this will work because they can't keep funding this, and they can't keep funding enough for people to be able to survive. I mean, most people have got, I'm in a very good financial position, but most people have mortgages. The banks are saying, well, they're not calling up the mortgages, but they're also not stopping interest. You still have to pay it all. They're just saying you don't have to pay right now, and that time runs out at some point. So, there has to be more money in the economy so that people can survive. So it's a very, very tough situation. And my perspective is we just have to keep moving forward. Some days are going to be tougher than others. And like I said, the last 36 hours for me have been really tough. I've found it really tough, really frustrating, especially now knowing that, well, hang on a second, you're telling me I can go and exercise with a mate, but I can't do that from a business. It's exactly the same thing. If anything, they should be saying you should not be exercising with a mate. I mean, I think that's ludicrous. Particularly now, I'm passionate about it because I'm not allowed to keep running my business that way. I think it's just wrong. And so the government's view is, well, every single business could stack an argument as to why they're an essential service. And I guess that is true. And they've got to draw the line somewhere. But when you start having a direct impact on people's health and wellness, then you're going to create another issue as well. I mean, suicide rates are up, the mental illness, people that already have a pre-existing mental condition, a mental health issue, the calls are going up by like 30%. More and more people are having anxiety issues as well. I mean, it's so damn tough. But this is the Mental Toughness and Body Show. And I'm here to tell you that even though we're going through hell right now, that we can't give up. We can't let this thing beat us. We have to keep focusing on what is right for us to do, how we can keep adding value to people. And you know what? On the other side of this, whenever that comes, the people that you are serving, the people that you are helping out, they will remember you. And where's the evidence of this? Well, I think back to the Second World War, and when England was being bombed by the Germans, they wanted the royal family to leave. But the Queen Mother, she said, I'm not going anywhere, because if my people are here, then I'm staying here too. And people remembered that for her whole life, like the remainder of her life. Imagine if she left. So I heard today that I think it's the King of Spain is leaving Spain, and he believes it's the best for the country, because he's going to reside somewhere else, because there's some controversy and something over the years, and he's leaving the country. And I immediately thought of the Queen Mother and thought, do you know what, when things got tough, and yes, you could have understood why the Queen left the country to be safer, but no, she decided to be with her people, and they always remembered her for that. And that's why, even to this day, she's probably one of the greatest loved royals of all time, because of that decision. And so we are all in this together, and the effort that you put in for your clients and your business, they'll remember it. And you will always remember what you did when it was so tough, when you didn't want to get out of bed any longer, when you found it so tough that you didn't know how you could go on any further. And you see those movies where the underdog is down, he's so down, or she, and you think there is no way they can get up, but then they find that energy, they find that drive within them to use that last piece of energy to get the victory or get whatever it is done, and they become the hero. And that's what we need to do here. We need to be our own heroes. We need to be able to dig deeper than we think we've ever dug before. And as hard as it gets, we cannot give up. We have to stay on task. We have to become more innovative. We have to create more content, more opportunities for ourselves, for others. And in that process, we'll be focusing on something bigger than ourselves. And when we do that, that's when you can keep doing what you were doing before, when you think about why you even got started. I mean, I've heard a number of businesses stop or say that, it's over. They're giving up. It's not worth it. It's too hard. And I say this, the minute you think of giving up, think of the reason why you held on for so long. Because when you do that, you'll realize that it's worth the fight. And you're worth the fight. And you'll come out of this a stronger, better, more resilient person. And all those people around you will remember the way that you responded to this. Somebody that I used to work with said, when someone resigns, you're remembered for the last 2 weeks of your work, not for the 5, 10, 15, 20 plus years that you've put in before. You're remembered for your last 2 weeks of work. And I really understand that, because I've worked with many people that as soon as they resigned, they dropped the ball. They did the bare minimum. There were gaps in their work. They arrived late. They left early. They had long lunches, all of that kind of stuff. For me, whenever I worked, whenever I left one position to another, I worked every day. I made sure that everything was documented. All of the work was handed over. And I never left early on my last day. Never. So, we are in this together. You're mentally tough. You're strong. You can get through this. It's tough, but you're tougher. Don't let COVID beat you. We are stronger than COVID. If you want to find out how you can connect with me, go to thementaltoughnessandbodyshow.com. Scroll to the bottom. You can opt in for a free consultation and we can have a chat and see how we can work together. All right, you have a great day wherever you are in the world. I will see you tomorrow.